Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. Soaring murder rates while stores are being plagued by bands of smash and grab robbers. Can we finally admit this is a national crime spree? We'll take you behind the headlines. But first, Omicron. You know what it is by now, the COVID variant that was the lead story over the weekend everywhere, including on the sites of every major media entity, including the New York Times, Post, Journal. Coverage blanketed network and cable news. In particular on Friday and Saturday, the media appeared to be in overdrive. So let's try to inject some common sense here. Yes, Omicron mania had kicked in, and as far as I'm concerned, it was too dire and overblown. There are still way too many unknowns here for the media to give it the full wall-to-wall scare treatment. But I believe they heard the criticism, particularly from conservatives who were right. And the mainstream media pulled it back a bit by Sunday and this morning, realizing they'd gone too far. The New York Times even this morning quoting numerous South African doctors where this was first detected, saying the symptoms appear to be mild thus far. Now, we'll talk with one of the nation's foremost experts later in the show about what we know tonight. But look, we all want to be on guard for a new, potentially dangerous variant, and it's important for public health experts to get the messages out about the value of vaccination and booster shots, but it shouldn't be based on a fear that might turn out to be unjustified, because then you lose credibility. Now, most of the doctors now speaking publicly seem to be on the same page here, that we just don't know enough yet. Although a few out there, I'll tell you, are still scaring the bejesus out of me. And yet, while certain conservatives in particular deserve credit for calling out the media excess, others are somehow trying to act like this new variant is some head fake political play because it would somehow be good for the party in power to have the country on edge. Check out this tweet from Ronnie Jackson, who previously worked with President Obama, served as President Trump's White House doctor, and now is a Republican congressman from Texas. Quote, "Here comes the MEV, the midterm election variant. They need a reason to push unsolicited nationwide mail-in ballots. Democrats will do anything to cheat during an election, but we're not going to let them." And listen to this discussion from Fox and Friends on Saturday, where the host just wildly speculated that Democrats invented Omicron out of whole cloth for political gain.
Pete Buttigieg, our transportation secretary, is potentially our new president in 2024, or so the Democrats want, has said we can't fix the supply chain problem until the pandemic is over, until COVID is over. And now we see these new variants. So that's the answer, is more lockdowns, more fear. And therefore, he doesn't have to do his job of fixing the supply chain because we'll just keep this whole thing going.
It's always a new variant.
And you'll count on a variant about every October, every 2 years.
Oh, I think it's going to, yep.
Now, they're sort of kidding there, obviously. But what I find even more puzzling is the level of vitriol at Dr. Anthony Fauci over this. Now, I've criticized him in the past, particularly for his early comments on masks when he basically admitted he lied about their value to ensure there'd be enough for healthcare workers. That created a serious credibility issue. But since then, the hatred towards the man from some on the right about everything seems to me to be disproportionate. He was on all the shows Sunday, basically saying, don't panic. It could end up being bad, but don't assume it will be.
We just really need to, as I've said so often, prepare for the worst. And it may not be that we're going to have to go the route that people are saying. We don't know a lot about this virus, so we want to prepare as best as we can. But it may turn out that this preparation, although important, may not necessarily push us to the next level. The positive effect is to get us better prepared, to rev up on the vaccination, to be really ready for something that may not actually be a big deal, but we want to make sure that we're prepared for the worst.
Okay. Yet some on the right blaming Fauci for hyping it. Look, this is now the #1 strain in South Africa after just 2 weeks. Israel, Japan, and other nations closing their borders. So the notion that it's somehow a domestic invention is silly. It's obviously real. Let's all use common sense here. Let's not overhype it. Let's not write it off as some conspiracy. And I don't think there's any reason to blame Anthony Fauci for this. But joining us now is Bethany Mandel. She's a contributing writer at the Deseret News, and she's been a skeptic of mainstream media coverage of COVID. Bethany, thank you for coming on the program. Appreciate it. Let me ask you, are you mad at Anthony Fauci over this?
I mean, when am I not mad at Anthony Fauci? He has made an entire persona and an entire brand about COVID, and when it disappears, so does his weekly Sunday appearances on every single show. So, I mean, am I mad? Yeah, but that's sort of just the usual.
Right, but I guess I'm asking you to actually, based on what he said, right? I mean, there are some saying, well, now he's acting like a pundit. Now he's just speculating, et cetera. And yet, if the answer was, well, I can't comment on that, or we don't know enough for me to even comment on that, he'd get blasted for that as well. I mean, do you at least agree with me that on the specifics of what he was saying this weekend about this particular variant, that he's not the one responsible for hyping this, right?
No, I mean, the media is definitely largely responsible, and all of the governments around the world closing their borders is a response to the overreaction from the US media, and everyone sort of played off each other. So Europe sort of did it first, and hours before Europe closed their border, America said, we're going to have to wait and see. We need more data. And then all of a sudden we closed our borders too. And it wasn't based on science. It was based on reaction from Europe. And then everywhere around the world, they closed their borders for the same reason. It was all reactionary. And we can see that it's reactionary based on which borders they're closing. They're closing the borders of African countries. They're not closing the borders on Hong Kong or Israel or Great Britain. They're closing on the African countries. And there's a lot of people asking a question about the sort of racial implications of closing some borders, but not all of them. And I think those are fair questions.
Yeah, I think so too, by the way. I think the notion that somehow closing borders and then saying we're going to close them in 4 days, I get the need, we got to let people come home, et cetera, but it does seem to kind of defeat the purpose when you're talking about closing borders from one place when this is happening around the world. But let me ask you, you tweeted earlier today, you said, congratulations to public school unions who just got a new variant just in time to extend their Christmas holidays. Now, I have been very critical of teachers' unions, particularly where I live in New York City. I find myself constantly at odds with the teachers' unions. But you don't actually think that they're part of a big conspiracy on this variant, right? You're just saying that you think that they're going to sort of jump on the train, right?
Yeah, I mean, they have taken every opportunity to move the goalposts and to maintain the status quo of working remotely and sort of being in their pajamas along with the rest of the pajama class. And this is really convenient for all of the teachers' unions representatives who want to maintain what they did all of last year in urban areas like New York City. They want to stay home. They want to make remote work more normalized within the public education system. And we're seeing that around the country. They're doing remote Fridays to curb the spread. That's nothing to do with curbing the spread. They just want to stay home on Fridays.
I'm with you on going to work, right? I have been on this show criticizing those who simply say, there was a big thing about Hearst employees saying, we're going to fight having to go to work. And the idea that, these poor magazine writers who are being asked to go to work, et cetera, on that. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I feel like there are some who are using this variant, and it felt to me like you were a little bit in that tweet, to sort of, make this sort of like a political cudgel, as opposed to saying, you think that this variant is real.
All COVID is a political cudgel.
So COVID's not real? I mean, it's real, right?
No, 770,000 people died of an imaginary virus. Of course, it's real. The problem is politicians and media people have used COVID in order to advance their political agendas. And so for public unions, they've decided to use COVID to stay home. And they're still using it in absolutely ludicrous ways. And they're going to continue using it until people start calling them out on their nonsense. And I don't understand why we can't sort of look at Omicron and look at the response and say, you know what, maybe this is an overreaction that is being sort of done for a reason. And the reason is people need desperately a new variant in order to maintain this constant sense of hyper paranoia and all of the mandates, because they fit sort of their necessary narratives.
But that sounds like you're saying it's not real. The variant isn't real, right? That this is all that you already know this.
Why are we panicking about it when all of the information that we have is that it is a mild cough, if that.
Well, look, here's why. The reason why, and again, I'm going to be talking to someone who knows a lot more than either of us about the science behind this, but the reason why is because it's now become the #1 variant in 2 weeks in South Africa, right? The #1 cause of, and the South African doctors are concerned about it. I'm with you that context is important, right? You can't just say what I said without also saying that so far it seems that the symptoms have mostly been mild. But when you mention that the sort of the political aspect of this, and you're mostly focusing on the left, I ask you about the sort of the Ronnie Jacksons of the world, the Ted Cruzes of the world, you know, Ted Cruz saying there's always another variant, et cetera. I mean, don't you think that we should be slamming them as well for making this all about politics?
I'm not interested in coming on here and being like the token conservative slamming one random tweet. There will always be a new variant. That is a fact. There will always be a new variant. And what we do with that information is depending upon politics.
So it can't possibly be based on science, right? There's no way that we could possibly base it on science.
It's not based on science.
But again,
we closed our borders, but only to certain countries, not to all of them, but only to.
But I agree with you on that, right? So I'm saying that I agree with you about the border closing issue, right? But what I'm saying is that there are other issues, and it sounds like you're basically saying, well, there's always going to be a variant, right? And what I'm saying is this, okay, but what I'm saying is that I believe that this one is potentially, only potentially, more dangerous than others. The way Delta was more dangerous than the one that came before it, right? I mean, this is science stuff, right?
It was more transmissible, but it wasn't more dangerous. We have no data that Delta was more deadly.
But by being more transmissible, it is inevitably more dangerous. It doesn't mean more deaths necessarily, but it. What do you mean? If it's more transmissible, it's more dangerous. You're going to tell me that if a virus is more transmissible, it doesn't make it more dangerous to the public?
No, because 1 million people can get a common cold. That's okay. And that's basically what it's trying to do. With all of the vaccines, with the therapeutics that are coming within the next few weeks, it is basically a common cold. And we need to accept that COVID is here. There will always be new variants. And it's okay for more cases to pop up because we have the tools at our disposal to combat it now.
As long as they don't evade the vaccines. And that'll be the big test.
There's no way the vaccine.
Well, I understand. I just said, as long as it doesn't. Again, I'm not suggesting, and I'll say to you the way you said to me, you're not going to come on and be the token conservative. I'm not going to come on and be the token person who's somehow scaring everyone, because I'm not. I'm really just trying to say, here's what we know, here's what we don't know, here's what I think the media overhyped, here's where I think we still have questions. But you know what? This was a good conversation, and I appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Coming up, let's get the real facts on what we know tonight about this variant. One of the nation's experts joins us live to cut through the spin, give us some common sense facts. She does not work for the CDC. Plus, remember Jussie Smollett, the actor who seems to have faked that racial attack on himself? Now he's on trial for lying and to the police. He's betting a jury is going to believe his far-fetched account of the guys in MAGA hats yelling, "This is MAGA country" in liberal Chicago. We'll take you behind the headlines. All right, so you heard the previous discussion, but the real question is, how worried should we be about this variant? It's been found in many nations far beyond South Africa, where it was originally detected. Got countries shutting their borders. There's talk of tougher mandates here in the U.S. Here to help us separate the fact from fiction is Dr. Rimoin. She's a professor of epidemiology at UCLA. Doctor, thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it. All right, so what more do we know? What more do we know about this tonight in terms of its danger, its threat, et cetera?
We're learning something new about it every single minute as the research is unfolding. Here's what we know. We know we have a variant that appears to be circulating in South Africa and now is found in a number of different countries. It is actually starting to increase significantly. The incidence has increased significantly over time in South Africa since this variant has been identified. So there's some anecdotal evidence that it is more transmissible. But the real questions are, is it more transmissible? Is it more severe? Is it causing causing more severe disease, hospitalizations, and death? And is it going to evade the immune response? We don't actually have real answers yet. This is all just in the works. We're trying to find out more about it. And so there's still a lot to learn.
So is it fair to say that, I don't know if you were able to hear our previous conversation, but was it fair to say that earlier, the Friday, Saturday coverage in the media may have been a little bit overhyped?
Well, listen, I think that whenever you see a new variant that has some troubling mutations, it's something to be concerned about. It's not time to hit the panic button. I mean, this is just something that is concerning. And I think that what happens in the news media often is that it starts to escalate, all the questions of what if, what could possibly be, end up taking over the discussion as opposed to what we know and practically what's going to happen next. And I think that that's really what we need to focus on. What do we know? There's a variant that's circulating. It appears to be more contagious. It has some troubling mutations that we need to worry about. We don't know if it's going to evade our immune responses yet, but we have the science to be able to determine that. We have things that we can do to reduce the spread of this and to be able to manage it if we need to. And the bottom line is we already have a contagious variant circulating. The Delta variant is extremely contagious. We have the tools in hand to be able to reduce spread, whether it is Delta, whether it is Omicron, or whether it's another variant that becomes, that emerges, as one certainly will next.
Well, if that's true, then it does seem to me fair to say that we all need to take a deep breath, that no matter sort of how bad this ends up being, that you're telling us that it's going to be manageable.
That's exactly what I'm telling you. I think it's important. The reason that we're doing all of this surveillance, the reason that we need to watch it is it's better to be forewarned and forearmed. And as I've said over and over again, it's much easier to stay out of trouble than it is to get out of trouble. And so therefore you need to be proactive. You need to have good situational awareness. You need to know what's coming if you're going to be able to protect yourself from it. And that's what all of this surveillance is doing. That's why South Africa alerted the world to something that could be a potential problem for everybody if we don't get in front of it. Problem is we always end up chasing behind it, and that's where we get into trouble.
Yep, Dr. Rimoin, you make a ton of sense. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate your insight.
My pleasure.
With news about the Omicron strain dominating headlines, one leading politician went on CNN and Fox and offered starkly different assessments of how to deal with it, depending, of course, on which network she was on. Coming up. Time now for our Mediaite Moments, where we check in on the day's bias, buzz, and the bull in the world of cable news and beyond. Remember when TV news reports focused on facts? The boring days when network news outlets presented the same segments with little difference from channel to channel? Well, as we all know, these days, the cable channels are often just cheerleading for a position or a cause. No one seems to know that better than Representative Nancy Mace, who appeared on both Fox News and CNN to discuss the new Omicron variant, among other things. And she gave two distinct audiences two very distinct and different perspectives. Let's start with Fox News, where she was asked to opine on Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and the job he's doing on COVID.
Florida has some of the best COVID transmission rates. I mean, all of it's bad. But certainly what Governor DeSantis is doing was widely panned, but he's having the most success right now.
He absolutely is. And one of the things that the CDC has not done, and no policymaker at the federal level has done so far, is taken into account what natural immunity does. And that may be what we're seeing in Florida today.
So beating up on the CDC and lauding the benefits of natural immunity from those who've had COVID is a take that Fox News viewers, some of them, might enjoy hearing. But that same message might not go over too well on CNN, where she appeared later that day.
Is that part of something that, back in your community, you are actively encouraging everyone else to get vaccinated, especially now with this new development about the new variant?
I have been, and I've been a proponent of vaccinations and wearing masks when we need to. When we had the Delta variant raging in South Carolina, I wrote an op-ed to my community, and I've worked with our State Department of Health. I've run ads encouraging my district to go and get vaccinated.
So not so much about the benefits of natural immunity now from, getting COVID, and instead the benefits of getting vaccinated. So let's go back to Fox, where she focused much less on those vaccines that she's been supposedly promoting.
In some studies that I've read, natural immunity gives you 27 times more protection against future COVID infection than a vaccination. And so we need to take all of the science into account and not selectively choosing what science to follow when we are making policy decisions. And you're seeing, I believe, Governor DeSantis is, seeing the fruit of that labor today.
Yeah, there are reports that say that natural immunity does give much greater protection. But of course, the only way to get that is to get COVID. So we go back to her appearance on CNN and her focus on how not to get COVID.
I've run ads encouraging my district to go and get vaccinated. And when we have these variants and we have these spikes, to take every precaution from washing our hands to wearing the N95 or KN95 masks. The Biden administration is taking, I believe, safe steps to keep the American people safe as we work through the challenges ahead.
All right. Well, look, I'll give her credit. She isn't pretending to actually take a position on almost any of this.
Everyone, whether Republican or Democrat, if the policy is the same, then they should be treated equally. And that's the problem with politics in this country today.
Well, but how about treating the viewers equally? Like being consistent from outlet to outlet might be a nice addition to that sensible call about how the policies shouldn't be evaluated based on party affiliation. That's our wrap-up of the day's media bias buzz in the Bull. Coming up, record-breaking homicide rates. That's on top of the stores targeted in smash and grab sprees. It's happening in practically every corner of the country. We're taking you behind the headlines up next. The mainstream media finally seems to be paying attention, at least a little, to these premeditated, organized mass looting incidents at major retailers in big cities nationwide. This, as many cities are also seeing homicide rates skyrocket. This is scary stuff. On Black Friday, 10 thieves struck a Los Angeles Home Depot, stealing tools, wrenches, hammers, crowbars. Police arrested 4 suspects on Saturday. Still, they're seeking for more. Also in Los Angeles last Wednesday, 5 robbers made off with $25,000 worth of designer purses from a Nordstrom. One of the thieves used bear spray to attack a security guard. 2 different Best Buy stores were targeted Friday night near Minneapolis. Both stores saw dozens of thieves storm in and steal electronics. Best Buy calling for Congress to take action. They're looking to have a federal law passed that would make it harder to sell these stolen goods online. And to be clear, this is not just a Black Friday issue. This show has been following these orchestrated robberies for weeks now. Thieves targeting cities across the country, including Chicago, New York, San Francisco, Oakland. Malls and shopping centers doing what they can to protect their employees and their shoppers. We told you last week about this coiled security barrier deployed in a mall in Los Angeles. This after the area was targeted. And take a look at this. Helicopters flying over malls and shopping centers in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Police are calling it Operation Shopper Chopper. From Thanksgiving through January 2nd, 3 copters will patrol shopping locations. It's not just a spike and smash, and it's not just the smash and grabs either. It's also just homicides. Many big cities are seeing grim milestones. Look at Philadelphia. The city is having its deadliest year in its history. So far in 2021, 506 homicides. This breaks the city's 1990 record of 500. The 506th victim identified as a Temple University college student who was killed in an attempted robbery, returning to school after spending Thanksgiving with his family. A grim milestone also for our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., surpassing 200 homicides for the first time since 2003. So far this year, 202 have been killed. These cities are not alone. Indianapolis, Milwaukee, Austin, Texas have all surpassed records for homicide in a year. And keep in mind, there's still a month left in this year. And a murder last week impacting our community here at News Nation and our parent company, Nexstar. A former police officer, current security guard for our San Francisco affiliate KRON, was fatally shot in Oakland. Kevin Nishia was shot by an armed robber who attempted to steal camera equipment from the news crew he was protecting. The team was reporting about a recent robbery in that area. His former colleagues remember him so fondly.
His smile would light up a room. His sense of humor just had you in stitches. And he just was really a genuinely nice, caring person. And I mean, we're all just still in shock over what's happened the last few days. You might have been having a bad day, and he just always was able to keep you focused and just remember why we're here, what the goal is, and he's leaving a huge void.
And in response to the violent crime in the area, police in Oakland saying they're upping its officer patrols. So let's go behind the headlines and make something clear. These are not isolated local events that should be relegated just to local news. This is clearly a national trend in big cities that needs to be reported and talked about. Joining us now to discuss is Dr. Jeffrey Ian Ross, a criminologist with the University of Baltimore. Dr. Ross, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate it. I am particularly concerned about how brazen these attacks have become with multiple people involved. Should we expect that this is sort of the new normal?
Okay, so you're talking about the flash mob snatch and grab activity, right?
Correct.
So, because I think we need to disentangle that from the murders, and we can get there shortly. Although there's quite a bit of news media coverage, particularly broadcast media coverage, we don't have any national data suggesting that there's been an increase. So let's not necessarily put that to rest, but let's keep this in mind.
Well, here's how we would hang on. Here's how we would know, because the media would inevitably focus on, as you point out, these sort of mass events more than a typical ordinary crime. And so if these had been happening for, years in previous years, again and again and again, there would have been media coverage, at least some of it, local media coverage of these events. So I'm a little concerned that your sort of first response is to just minimize it, even if there's no data necessarily. It's clearly happening.
I'm not saying it's not happening. I'm just saying is that before we, overreact, let's get some data out there. Robberies happen every day in every, big city throughout the United States.
With 25, 30 people involved? I really, you know this stuff better than I do, but I've covered crime for my entire career, and I have never seen this many incidents of multiple people involved in crime at once in cities throughout the country. Now, again, I'm not saying that means that I'm necessarily, the source on this, but there's obviously something there.
I'm not questioning that. There may be, there may be, or there may be not. It's hard to say. Okay, and just because the news media is reporting on something,
I don't understand what's hard to say. No, but hang on. What's hard to say?
Just because the news media is reporting upon something, just because the news media is reporting on a particular crime, doesn't necessarily mean that it's increasing.
Right, that's true. But for you to suggest that it may be the case.
There can be a crime.
I understand, but let's talk about the one we're talking about. I understand theoretically what you're saying, and you're right. Theoretically, you're right.
Okay.
But now let's talk about what we're actually discussing for a moment. And you're right that the homicide issue is a separate issue, because with the homicide issue, we actually have data. We have data that I know that, you study, and you would say there's no question about some of this data. But I guess I'm asking for a moment because, again, I'm just concerned about the, and it's not just you, and I'm taking this out on you a little unfairly, because it does feel to me that there are people around the country who sort of are minimizing these efforts at, these mass events happening at stores. And that concerns me. And you're sort of saying, well, we don't know. And I'm saying, well, of course we know, because we would have seen in previous years, again and again, these mass events. And I don't think you're disagreeing with that.
I'm not disagreeing with that. So the question is, there may be even more for all we know, but we don't have data.
Right.
Okay. So let's move forward.
Look, you seem relatively uninterested in talking about this, so I think you were probably the wrong guest to invite on the show, and I apologize for that. Seriously,
not really.
I really do, because I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I didn't mean to debate you on this. Okay, that may be. But
you turned
Dr.
it into
Ross,
a debate.
I didn't mean to. I really didn't. It just you're just very dismissive of this immediately, and my response to something so dismissive was like, well, I don't know why we're starting off so dismissively. But look, next time maybe we'll talk about the murder rate, where I'm sure that we'll agree that there is data, and it's data that you study and you know far better than I do. And I apologize if it seemed that I was disrespectful. I didn't mean to be. It just sort of struck me because this stuff is really, I find, impactful and important. So thank you for coming on. Appreciate it.
I'm not accusing you of being disrespectful.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you, Doctor.
Yep.
Coming up, Jussie Smollett back in court. You got to give the guy credit for being willing to go to trial and defend his story of how he was the victim of a hate crime by MAGA hat-wearing thugs in Chicago. We'll take you behind the headlines up next. Remember Jussie Smollett, the Empire actor accused of faking his own hate crime back in 2019? Well, today was day one of his criminal trial with a jury of 12 selected, 3 alternates. They just had the opening statements. Smollett's charged with 6 felony counts of disorderly conduct for filing false police reports. Before we dive in, let's take a look back at what happened in the case. Remember, it all started when Smollett told Chicago police he was attacked by 2 masked men while walking home from a Subway restaurant in the early morning hours of January 2019. Smollett also claimed his assailants poured an unknown substance on him and put a noose around his neck while shouting racial and homophobic slurs. He also claimed he believed at least one of them was white and that his, quote, attackers told him, "This is MAGA country," in Chicago. This came after he had supposedly received a racist note on the set of Empire. And remember, after police did a little digging, they came back and concluded that Smollett orchestrated his own attack because he was unhappy with his salary and wanted to promote his career. Later, we'd learn that the men, who we now know were responsible, are 2 brothers, Abel and Ola Osundario, who Smollett knew and had paid $3,500. He says it was for nutritional supplements. The authorities and the brothers say it was to stage the attack. Neither of them, as it turns out, are white. Initially, Smollett was charged with 16 felony counts, but all the charges would later be dropped. Cook County State Attorney Kim Foxx had claimed she recused herself from the case to address questions of impartiality, but after all the charges were dropped, a judge named a special prosecutor to investigate what had happened. A grand jury came back, 6-count indictment. Smollett pled not guilty to it. Let's go behind the headlines. No doubt, you got to give this guy credit. He's going to the mat, not taking a deal, and actually going to trial to try to show that this actually happened the way he claimed. This is all going to come down to the credibility of the brothers versus Smollett. And, of course, the fact the prosecution has to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. Joining me now to discuss, attorney and host of Law and Crime, Jesse Weber. Jesse, good to have you back.
Good to see you, Dan.
All right, so the opening statements just wrapped up. What do we hear?
You know, I would say it seems too unbelievable it seems made up, but it just might actually be. I mean, but this is really what it was. The prosecution spent a lot of time using the word fake. Fake hate crime. This was fake. This is fake. But what the defendant did was an actual crime, trying to make that very clear that this was all a staged event and that they have proof behind it, whether it's text messages, whether it's surveillance video, whether it's the testimony of the brothers. They are very confident to prove that this was a staged attack. Got to tell you, I was very surprised with what the defense did, because he's not saying that 2 white men attacked him. He's saying that the brothers did, in fact, attack him.
And he knew them. He's friends with them.
He knew them. Gave them money for to train for a music video. They attacked him because they didn't like him. That's a new defense for me. I didn't know that's where he was going to go. And then we also hear that there might be the testimony of a woman who claims she saw a white man with kind of reddish, brownish hair who maybe carried out a noose. And the defense team for Jussie Smollett said there was a 3rd man involved. So if they can try to elicit that testimony, that might give jurors pause to think, well, what is really happening here? You mentioned the brothers testifying. No word yet on whether Jussie Smollett is going to testify, because then you really do have the brothers' words against Jussie Smollett's
Well, that's interesting, because, after all of these claims of innocence, right, and of course we know he doesn't have to testify, right, and that can't be used against him by a jury. It can be used against him by those of us sitting on the outside and judging what happened. And if it happened as he says, right, he gave a report to police about what happened. And so you'd expect that he would testify. Now, taking that, putting that aside for a moment, do you think he's going to testify?
So here's why I say he might be. He might testify. When this first broke, it seemed pretty real. It seemed pretty credible. You remember when he sat down for interviews? Yeah. I believed him. I think everybody else believed him. It's only when the evidence came out that things seemed a little off. I think he believes he can convince this jury, which is a jury that doesn't really know so much about this case. You know, during jury selection today, a lot of them were asked, what do you know about Empire? What do you know about this case? Obviously, there was some understanding, but not the understanding like we had in other high-profile cases. He might be able to tell his side of the story. He's a good actor.
Well, that's
Let's
for
not
sure.
forget.
That's for. Let's play a piece of sound. This is from, do we have the Good Morning America piece of sound from Jussie Smollett when he was sat down with Robin Roberts? Let's play that.
Listen, if I tell the truth, then that's it, because it's the truth. Mm-hmm. Then it became a thing of like, oh, how can you doubt that? Like, how do you not believe that? It's the truth.
You know, I hadn't seen that in a while, and it reminds me, he's going to take the stand.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to insist on taking the stand.
He's an entertainer. He
right?
likes the spotlight, and this is the most important stage of his life.
Right, and at the least, it allows him to tell his story and be able to think, because he's thinking, I think, probably comeback. He's thinking, I get the acquittal, and I make a comeback. You can't make a comeback by not testifying.
I think
that can and will be used against you.
Yeah, and he also doesn't want to be found guilty and maybe face prison time.
Well, there's that, but that's a separate issue.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to do it.
I think he's going to do it, but also it's going to be a combination of really discrediting the Osundario brothers. There's going to be a portion of that jury.
These Osundario do what? They found some drugs. They found guns when they went to their house. Okay, so these guys weren't, living on the up and up. But the notion that that's going to therefore mean that they're making this whole thing up, right? And the only reason they got caught was because there was that surveillance footage, right?
Yeah. And there was evidence that he planned it with them, that he actually went through a dry run with them, which I think is going to be the most critical evidence, is to say, we had to do a dry run to actually plan this out and do it. Look, at the end of the day, for him, he's going to say, I think there's a point where he's going to say to the jury, do you really believe I staged an attack? For what reason? I was on the star of a huge show. What did I gain from doing that?
And that's why it's going to be really important to talk about that letter that now the authorities think was fake, that was sent to him beforehand. Which was also making racial threats, and apparently people didn't respond enough, so he wanted to one-up it. Anyway, Jesse Weber, good to see you. Look forward to having you back soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dan.
Coming up. A gunman inside a restaurant threatening customers, stopped in his track by officers. We're going to play this insane video from inside the restaurant up next. Time for our police cam segment showing the dangers officers face every day. Before we show you the body cam footage, this is the 911 call from a witness as an armed suspect threatened people in Phoenix.
Phoenix 911, where is your emergency?
Yeah, hello. I'm here on the AMPM on Indian School and 75. There's this guy with his gun pointing to people.
Police say the suspect, Jose Arenas, robbed someone at a gas station as 911 calls continued to come in. Surveillance video shows Arenas pointing a gun at a family in the parking lot of a restaurant and at a police helicopter that was trying to find him. Officers chased him as he ran into the restaurant, threatening the diners inside and putting his hands on two people while still holding the gun.
Go, go, go. Yo, drop the gun!
Whoa, you could see that Arenas pointed his weapon at an officer at point-blank range. The officer opened fire on him. Arenas was taken to a hospital, and he died at the hospital. No one else was injured. Joining us now is Sean Sticks Larkin, retired Tulsa police lieutenant, my former live PD compadre. Sticks, good to have you back. So the suspect had already robbed someone, was threatening people in a parking lot. Again, take us through this now from the officer's perspective going into the restaurant.
Yeah, first of all, you know, for a lot of agencies, especially your larger agencies, the man with the gun call is something, unfortunately, is fairly regular. Not that you dismiss any of them, but when you have one that comes in from multiple people, that are giving you new information. He pointed a gun here. He's pointed a gun here. He's tried to carjack this person. You know, it really gets your attention. You know you're going to something that is escalating or is actually still in progress. And so you're going to get a lot of officers that respond to it. And, you know, we don't show the full video here, but one of the things that really stands out to me for anyone that does, you know, do their own research and see this video online somewhere, when the suspect goes inside, you see the patrons, the civilians, everybody fleeing. The one person that's not fleeing are the officers. They are aggressing the target. They're putting themselves between this armed suspect and the civilians to stop the threat. You know, last week we had a hostage situation we covered here on your show. 2 weeks prior to that, we had another one. And that's because officers couldn't get there in time to stop what was happening. But these officers here in Phoenix did that.
Yeah, we see the suspect threaten the restaurant customers. As police enter, let's take a look again at what happened next.
Yo, drop the gun!
I mean, I was just struck at that video, the frame at the end, where you literally can see him pointing the weapon at the officers. I mean, it's almost rare to get this much of a bird's eye view at exactly what was happening at that second.
Exactly. And you know, that's the body cam showing that. And just as I mentioned, the officer aggressing the threat, the suspect aggressed the officer when he saw the officer as well, which I'm going to be honest, luckily it is something that is rare. You know, that officer just had 2 years on the department when he found himself in this situation. And again, if you watch this whole video, from the time the officer shows up, when the suspect goes inside, this thing is over in 10 to 15 seconds tops. That's how fast this thing happened.
And it is really lucky the officers got there because, you know, this is a guy who clearly was ready to use his weapon.
Yeah, you know, obviously, as we mentioned earlier, multiple calls of him pointing at people trying to carjack. And there's a surveillance video inside that store where the guy actually takes a woman, you know, puts her in a headlock, puts the gun up to her face, and I'm guessing her husband or her boyfriend kind of pulls her away just before the officer comes in. So he was definitely what we call a continuing threat.
Wow. All right, Sean Larkin, I'll see you later this week. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
That does it for us tonight. News Nation Prime starts, not right now, but very soon. In like, I don't know, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.